All right, there we go. Let's get our Facebook folks in here, rocking and rolling on this Tuesday evening. It's really spinning there, nice and slow. It's the off season, right? We got the break coming up here with everything. Boom, boom. All right, folks. Well, welcome in. Welcome in. It is Tuesday evening, the 17th. We're halfway through June already. I think it's summer solstice here in like 3 days to the longest day of the year, and hope everybody's doing well, enjoying your summer. I am Nick Kendell, joined by Carl Dumler. This is Building the Broncos. How you doing, Carl? Good to see you. I said before the show, you're looking nice and tan. I know that it's a little darker with the hat there and a little darker with the hat there and everything, but yeah, you've been out in the sun.
I've been at camp 2 weeks ago, where it's pretty much the entire day is spent outside. I've been at camp with two of my kids this week. I've got camp next week with my youngest son. And then I've got mission trip to Kentucky where we'll be doing outside construction. So thankfully, I should be looking pretty nice by the end of all this. Yeah. And it's been a while since I've had a good tan. So I'm kind of excited by it. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. Well, as somebody, not to be, Debbie Downer immediately, but as somebody who worked in otolaryngology at Iowa for 4 years, make sure you're protecting your skin. Because melanoma is absolutely no joke. A lot of the farmer community and the truck drivers out there, it's tumor board was rough every Friday morning. Not the images you want to see, but welcome in. Now that we're really getting it going here, we're going to talk a little bit today about PFF. They've been, say what you will about PFF. They are the content machine that keeps on cranking. So pause on that one. But shout out to Eric also for writing it up for us. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and also answer all your guys' questions as well. It's been a second since Carl and I have been here. We've each had different things going on. I've been in Charleston, still have medical stuff. My wife is still in the hospital, but the mother-in-law's here. So little guys hanging out upstairs. And how's the wife doing? Really bad headache today. She had a spinal tap yesterday. She just had a splitting headache all day. And they're kind of like, you can eat. No, you can't eat with other tests and stuff. So she's pretty miserable. But I'm going to go hang out with her after this and I can hopefully relieve some of that miserability, but not miserable, hanging out here with all you guys. Always great. Scott in the background, Carl here again. We got MBLE test prep. Good to see you. Says, I'm here to party. You bring in the party. Good to see you. But, there's no party without a little bit of money going into it. We got Papa Bear, $2 super chat. Papa Bear, thank you so much. He says, good evening, Broncos country, hashtag 13 and 4 plus. So that means playoffs. It could be 13-5 on that one. He doesn't. The plus is on either side, but we'll take it. I mean, gosh, that would be an incredible season. And it's certainly something that's possible for this Broncos team this season. Sky's the limit. Truly, I mean, the AFC is tough. The AFC West is tough, but Denver, things could fall right, and they could be a true contender this season, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the very guy we're going to talk about. If he plays to the level that he has played in the past when healthy, all of a sudden that defense even goes to a bigger and greater level. One of the biggest weaknesses becomes one of the biggest strengths. And when you have a defense like that, you're in every game. Mm-hmm. There might be only one game in the entire season where you're like, oh, man, this one sucks. But all the rest of them, the other 16, you're going, yep, Broncos right there. And the guy like Bo Nix and the offense going, man, 13 and 4, definitely within sight.
Yeah, absolutely. And just Denver taking a step forward. I mean, last year they were a weird team where they beat up on the teams they were supposed to beat up and lost to the teams that were good. Other than that week 18 game where they beat the Kansas City backups, I don't think they beat a team with a winning record last season. Definitely didn't beat a team with a playoff win. I could be mistaken on that one. Somebody could correct me overall. But yeah, they were a team that they need to take that step forward and show that they can compete against good teams. And that's, you can go far, obviously make the playoffs if you continuously beat the bad teams, but there's another level to go for that Broncos team this season. So I know you're racking your brain there. If there's any team that I'm missing here, you can let me know.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa, you're correct. Yep, Tampa was the only one. Good call. Week 3. So, good call on that one. There we go. Wrong, Nick. So that's okay. We got Mike Thompson. Oh, Mike Thompson in here. Hey, friends, good to see you. Paul is in the house, the great OGs. Paul, you're an OG. Hope you're doing well. We got Ernie Mays in the house. Hello, Nick and Carl. Go Broncos. Go Ernie over on YouTube. Pearl in the house. Hi, guys. I'm early for once. Yeah, you're just on time. You're a wizard. Never late, never early, just on time. Mike asks, how's the wife doing? I don't know if things are good or well, but she's stable at the hospital. She's miserable in the hospital, but we're doing what we can and trying to stay positive and present for her and doing what she needs. Michael Ronquillo, good evening, Nick and Carl. I'm building the Broncos. Go Bo Broncos. Thank you so much for the stars, Michael. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully it's not too hot there out in Tucson. I've seen some of the countries just sweltering right now. So it's really uncomfortable here in Seattle. I think it was 65 today. And sunny. So Roy Osborne, hey there, Nick and Carl and Scott. Good to see you. Says, can't forget Broncos country. Hated Broncos country as well. Got our guy Patrick coming in here. I said on the SOS today and the stars, but he's also sending the coffee coming today. I said, hey man, I'm drinking way too much coffee right now. I'm like, right now you can't see it. I don't know if you can see the thing, but I'm like shaking my leg because I'm just like caffeinated because I'm not sleeping at all. But I'm like running low on the coffee and it's coming. So God bless his aloha, thoughts and prayers for Nicholas. Yeah, it's been tough. So shout out to friends and family stepping up and helping because not alone through these things. That really does make a huge difference. Feeling like George Bailey out here with some of this. It's great. But good to see you, Patrick. God bless you. And looking forward to the coffee coming our way. Thanks for the stars and just coming out and saying hello. Patrick's one of the great ones. Big heart. Love you, Patrick. Rodney comes and says, good evening. Other than Demaryius Thomas, who's your favorite Broncos wide receiver all time? Man, I mean, my scope is a little bit narrow. I'm going to go with a dark horse. So I'm going to go off the beaten path here just because, so I'd been in middle school. I was really starting to get into Madden. And this combination of the quarterback with the wide receiver was just a cheat code in the game for me. So this is obviously answers like Rod Smith, Ed McCaffrey, Eddie Royal, maybe something like that. I absolutely just dominated with Javon Walker. They traded for him from the Packers, right? And he had that one amazing season. And I just did 3,000 yard receiving season on Madden. So I loved Walker. Also, I know that it was kind of cantankerous there at the end, but man, Brandon Marshall was just such a freaking beast. That 22 reception game, I think it was, versus the Colts. God, he was unbelievable. Seems to be medicated and things are better now in his life. So good for him. That's awesome. But that always doesn't go that way for ex wide receivers in the NFL. But no, those are some names. But I just wanted to give Walker a shout out. I love Walker.
Yeah. Brandon Marshall, Jay Cutler, Tony Scheffler. It's always that one. Yeah, that for tight end. But I mean, I'm just thinking of the great what if. Mm-hmm. If they could have kept that offensive core together, if they could have kept Shanahan around to run that whole unit, it's always one of those questions I ask, what they could have been as an offense. Now, defense, they were failing miserably. Mike Shanahan as a GM was not great. But I guess for me, you mentioned his name, Ed McCaffrey. When he broke his leg and still made the catch, I remember I screamed at the TV because, I just watched his leg flop to the side, and I felt sick watching it and just going, man. And then he came back. He still was that guy that was willing to go over the middle, make those really tough catches. Rod Smith put up the stats, but Ed McCaffrey did the dirty work. That really helped them to go win a lot of those two Super Bowls. So I will be forever grateful for what he's done. And then just to see the legacy that he's continued on with his kids, going on, coaching the game in college, high school, all those kind of things. So I've always had a soft spot for him.
Yeah. We can't forget about superstar A.T. Perry, Jordan Taylor, also Sunshine right now. Just teasing. But thank you so much for the comment here. Rodney, you guys are running the conversation. He said Eddie Royal. I'll never forget his first rookie game, Monday Night Football. I think it was Monday night. Could have been Sunday night versus the Chargers. And just unbelievable player. So really, really a good one. The Broncos had a good one there. We got a good one here in Ralph. Says, if Greenlaw and the rest of the defense can stay healthy this year, do you see them being better than Philly's D? I think with a healthy defense, we are number one. I think it's going to be close for the Broncos. I think the Phillies lost a good amount of pieces out there. They have to figure out what's going on in the boundary cornerback opposite of Quinyon Mitchell. Obviously, you had Cooper DeJean in the slot, but they lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson too, I believe, at safety. So they have some turnover there. They also lost Josh Sweat, went to the Cardinals. So we'll see. Defense is volatile year to year. I think, honestly, the team that I'm watching out for, just talent-wise, who I think has a chance to come for the Broncos in that spot is the Texans. The Texans have a very good, stable defense out there. They have two premium all-pro caliber edge rushers in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, who's Will Anderson's an ascending star right now. And second best cornerback in football in Derek Stingley. So that's a defense that I think could contend with the Broncos this season. Vikings last season, they put a lot of investment in that defensive line to raise the floor of that unit. I don't know if they can pull the Houdini stuff they did again last season, personally, but yeah, right now I think it's probably the Texans are the contender for the Broncos in my book.
I probably agree with you. I agree. I think Philly lost quite a bit. I think there's about 2 or 3 pieces off that defensive line that are gone. Like I said, safety, cornerback, and I'm not sure that their linebacker core can quite do what they did last year again. Like that was some pretty crazy play. I'm not saying that it can't happen again. I just think that it was pretty outstanding. And I think part of it was the pieces around them too. And maybe if they don't have as many pieces, maybe some of those weaknesses show back up for those players that, one of them had never played the position hardly. And all of a sudden he was out there being an all-pro. So I expect a little bit of regression for them. And I think just there's that a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover of, hey, we just won it. We've been partying all year. It's hard to keep that same level of motivation for the next season. And I do. I think they'll have a little bit of regression. I think Broncos, Chargers were up there. I think they're well coached. I don't think they have as much talent, but they have some of the best coaching in the NFL to keep them very disciplined. And so I could see them being another team, but although they're getting older, I could see a little bit of regression for some of their top players. And but Broncos, they've got a lot of young pieces. They've got a lot of guys that are very, very much ascending. Now adding a couple veterans that could really clean up some of the big issues that they had last year. I think, when we were talking about subjects to do today for this podcast, I was almost thinking about doing one of what is the biggest worry that you have and what is the thing that you are most excited about for this team. And probably one of my biggest worries is a little bit of that defensive line when they get against big bruising offensive lines. Those were the games that they really struggled on defense last year. Part of it was linebackers were not great, but part of it was the defensive line also got kind of pushed around a little bit. So I do worry about that a little bit, that they don't quite have the girth up, or the size up. Sorry, I know size up front. I meant to say size. I'm just not sure that they're quite there we go. That they're the bullies up front that they need to go against the Baltimores, the Bills, even Philly when Chiefs. They played them this year. Yeah, Chiefs.
Yeah, some of those big offensive lines. I think some of that's on the offense too, though. The Broncos, they were a little bit anemic in some of those games. Now, granted, it snowballed on them, but that's the NFL. Sometimes it's matchups, right? And you have to have your offense be able to keep up every once in a while. It didn't feel like the Broncos were quite ready for that. Oh, we lost Carl there. Carl's in the stream with audio only. Interesting. Well, Scott might have to bring him in. I don't know what's going on there, but you guys get to see my new hat I got for Father's Day. So Denver Broncos with the mountain there. So absolutely beautiful. Good to have you back. We got Gene in the house. It's okay. Yeah, it's good to see you. Good evening, guys. Thoughts and prayers to Nick. Yeah, shout out to my wife, man. It's been a miserable time in the hospital. Hopefully we figure out what's going on. Said his favorite is Brandon Marshall. Made some good childhood memories. Yeah, Marshall was incredible. I see a call out for Emmanuel Sanders here. He was awesome. I loved Eric Decker at the time, too. I didn't fault him for leaving. Broncos made a choice. They had 2, and they paid DT. That was the right choice. Also, shout out Brandon Lloyd, right? Some of the highlights that he had, my goodness, incredible. Omari says he's going Rod Smith on that one. That's great. Patrick says, say the word, Carl. You can have some coffee sent your way, too. Well, Carl's a coffee guy as well. We drank some in the back country in climbing Mount Whitney. That was a darn good time. Brought up the did we use the instant coffee or did we bring the French press?
I think we brought the French press.
Man,
we did. I think we went all out for that one just to make sure we had the good stuff.
That's amazing. God, that's backpacking's the best. Donald Willison. I know we're talking about receivers, but love Shannon Sharp. He made me laugh so many times. Yeah, call the Coast Guard. We're killing the Patriots. Yeah, that's a classic. Oh, turned off the AC. I see you there, Carl. All good. But talk of the conversation today. So PFF, they put an article of every team's make or break player this season. And they listed for the Broncos, linebacker Dre Greenlaw. So interesting. What they had to say was Denver's linebackers were the Achilles heel of the team's defense last season, particularly in coverage. That unit ranked 28th among all linebacker groups in PFF coverage grade. obviously a grain of salt with all of that. Former 49er Dre Greenlaw was brought in to fix that exact problem. Greenlaw's 90.0 PFF grade since 2019 trails only Fred Warner, Levante David, and Demario Davis for the highest mark among qualified linebackers. The Broncos are betting heavily on the idea that Greenlaw can regain that level of production, even though he played just 34 snaps last season, coming off of a torn Achilles. So obviously, we kind of railed on it all last season. The Broncos linebacker core and entering training camp, they weren't quite happy with it. After that Packers joint practice, they weren't happy with it. Entering week 1, but the Broncos are making calls, maybe to add a linebacker. Then you lose Singleton, who makes a lot of tackles, right? Yeah, he's definitely the best linebacker they had, but it was a room they weren't happy with, no doubt. So Greenlaw's a big piece of it, and if he can stay healthy, he's definitely a huge key contributor for what the defense can look like this season and reshape what the defense does as well.
Well, him and Hufanga as well added to that group. I mean, kind of that middle of the field was where teams love to attack the Broncos.
And then you had Barron. Yep.
Yeah, and Barron as well now for the slot position. They really saw, hey, this is where teams targeted us. It's where our guys just were lost. We couldn't do what we wanted to do on defense at times. When either of our outside corners went down, the Broncos couldn't blitz like they wanted to. They couldn't play man. They went to this weird zone kind of setup, and it seemed like a lot of guys were lost when they tried to figure out who they should be covering, and it just really threw everything off. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, Singleton going down was another big one. He was having a great season, probably his best as a Bronco up to that point. I think him getting that captain tag, he really took that to heart and was just having a great season. And then that injury came in. And so, yes, Broncos really spent big money to fix the biggest issue on the defense, which I love. You have a top 3 defense. A lot of times you'd kind of rest on that and say, hey, they're top 5. We're good. We don't need to add anything to it. And they said, no, we've got 3 or 4 positions that teams could really look at and say, hey, this is where we need to go after. The really good teams could do that. The bad teams, like I said, we could be a lot of bad teams because they didn't have the weapons to take advantage of it. They didn't have the quarterbacks to really see how it was playing out, whatever it was. But the good teams could really isolate that. I mean, Tom Brady was great at that, of saying, okay, here's our weakness on the defense. Boom, I'm going there over and over and over again. And so I'm glad the Broncos went out there and added to a strength, added to the defense like they needed to. And I mean, it's not like they ignored the offense. They added plenty for that group as well. J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Pat Bryant. Trying to think who else that they added more than that. But yes, like I said, they didn't ignore the offense. It just, like I said, they didn't ignore the defense and say, hey, we're good with top 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll see what that means. Obviously, health's going to be a big part of that. And I like PFF calling out Greenlaw to be make or break for them this season. I think he's a huge part of the defense and what the ceiling could look like, and just, again, being more multiple with what they can do. But again, we're talking about a defense that was top 3 last season, despite losing Singleton and playing Stranad and Barton, who were, depth linebackers probably ideally. And they were still a very good defense. Now against, juggernaut offenses, they found weaknesses, but it wasn't necessarily always the linebackers. We didn't mention you kind of mentioned it, but the lack of edge setting in a few of those games was really a problem. So just being able to be a little bit more versatile, but make or break for what this team is going to be this season. I think again, it's so stupid. And it's just like every single time talk about the 2 things, injuries and quarterback. It's probably Bo Nix going from a 15th to 18th best quarterback in football last season, cumulatively, including the beginning of the season, to somebody who's pushing in that top 10, the Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy range. If we can get there on a rookie contract, that's what I think makes or breaks the season. But I mean, I don't want to say that's cheating, but it always comes down to the quarterback at the end of the day, quarterback and health. That's going to make or break your season.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who, and maybe I should say who other than Bo Nix for the offensive side, would you say is the make or break player? And I was thinking about that before. R.J. Harvey.
Yeah, I got to say R.J. Harvey. Yep. I mean, second
adding
round
to that run game.
Yeah, they were horrific running the football last season. They had absolutely no explosiveness to them. They really had no dynamism in the pass game. either like you could Javonte Williams being, I think he was number 2 in targets for this offense last season, but they weren't really utilizing him as a pass catcher. It was more of a check down, half field read. If it's not there, get the ball to the running back. So at least you have a chance to get some positives. But I think it's got to be Harvey. He's the make or break. You need him to hit and bring a dynamic to the offense that they sorely lack season, not just from obviously the explosiveness on the ground game, which he was number 2, I think, behind Ashton Genty last season in explosive runs in college football, despite having less carries, but also the vision, something that the running backs sorely lacked last season. So I think the answer to that one for not Bo Nix is RJ Harvey.
I guess I'll go a different direction just because, especially now that you've added J.K. Dobbins, I feel you've got a nice insurance plan. If Harvey's not quite working, you still got this other guy that's a very proven running back and probably get close to 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns for you. So I'll go the number 2 receiver, whoever that is. We don't know quite exactly who it's going to be yet, whether it's Vele, Bryant, Mims.
Could it be Evan Ingram?
It could be. I guess you could throw that out there. And I forgot to mention his name earlier. Thank you in the comments there for putting his name
Mike
out
Thompson
there as well. But I think just whoever's that number 2 receiving option, I guess maybe that's the better way to say it, where last year it was such a Sutton heavy offense when we're talking about the passing game other than running back. Teams really keyed in on that, and we're pretty much, there's a few games where they're going, we're going to take away Sutton. Anybody else prove that you can beat us. And there were some really explosive plays. Mims had a couple games where he really stepped up and did a great job. You think of that Cleveland game where he had a couple of huge catches. There's a couple other games where he made some great plays for you. But Mims is such a high variance player. He could have 120 yards one game and 20 the next game. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to trust him fully. I'm looking for that guy that I can trust, that can go out there and make 7-8 catches a game when teams really key on, we're going to double team, triple team Sutton. This guy's getting all these one-on-one opportunities. Can he actually go out there and win those and force a team to go, okay, crap, we can't just stick to this one side. We've got to actually help out over here as well. And so, like I said, if it's Vele, if it's Bryant that they just brought in, if it's, I can't take Franklin out of the picture either. He's still there. He's an option. Mims, yeah, like I said, Mims could be there. He could be a bigger part of it and maybe be a more consistent player when there's less pressure, when they're having to spread out a little bit more, when there's a RJ Harvey and a J.K. Dobbins and an Ingram that they have to worry about. And so, and it could be Ingram, like I said, where he's getting close to 1,000 yards as that number 2 guy and really being a big part of it. And we got Gene coming in saying, I'd say make or break is the line. You need them for RJ and JK to do anything, and for Bo. Yeah, I think when I'm thinking make or break, my thing is it's those that are not proven one way or the other. Maybe they've proven it. So like Greenlaw, he's proven it before, but he's had these injuries. He missed most of last year. Can he get back to it? We know the offensive line, when healthy, knock, knock, they are a great offensive line. They're a top 3 unit for the offensive line in the NFL. Detroit, they've probably fallen off a little bit because they've lost a couple guys on that offensive line. We'll see if they can get back to truly being there in the top 3. Bills, another team that's up there.
Eagles.
So,
Chiefs.
Chiefs. Well, I don't know. I mean, those tackles were pretty suspect.
They were able to get away with it a lot, though. I'm thinking run game, a lot of it. But,
right. So, like I said, I don't view them as quite make or break per se when I'm going by the definition I have. I agree. If we're just going by, if these guys play great, offense probably has a pretty good year. If they don't, then Broncos are probably going to struggle. You're right. Then it's the offensive line.
Quarterback, defensive line, offensive line. You got to have those 3. Everything else is tiebreakers after that. So offensive line, you're right. Bo Nix, really good season last season. You dig into some of the numbers. He was poor under pressure. Didn't have a lot of pressure. Didn't make a lot of backbreaking mistakes under pressure, but struggled under pressure. And the offensive line staying healthy. Same 5 again this season. That's big. And also big for the run games as well. So, yeah, obviously, offensive line is huge. I don't have questions about them other than can they stay healthy again? Right, that's the big one. Can they maintain form? mean, do you have questions? I don't really. They're so veteran at this unit, and the one that's not veteran is can be protected in Wattenberg. So, yeah, again, it's they're definitely important, but I am with you in the make or break. Outside of that, though, I think it's Harvey for me. Again, the reason I said and the points you made, I would come to Ingram. The Broncos weren't very good against zone last season. They weren't very good at attacking the middle of the field, and these areas where you have now a mismatch weapon. It sounds like he's going to be lined up more similarly to Lil Jordan Humphrey than Adam Troutman or any of your tight ends last season. So he's a big one as well, make or break. He's got questions too. His age coming off that injury last season. So those are the big ones for me. I do want to say hello to some more people in chat. You guys let us know who you think. I appreciate the offensive line shout out there. We're always big on the trenches in here. Give me an offensive lineman over a wide receiver or any of that stuff any day, or a defensive lineman over a cornerback. Denver Luke, howdy y'all. Good to see you, Denver. Luke, hope you're doing well. Amy, always want to say hello to our Mile High Huddle ladies. Good to see you, Amy. DeAndre Weatherspoon, good evening, boys. The SF trio with Greenlaw, Hafanga, and Jones. That's huge. Yeah, they're definitely big ones. Glenn Ashley's in the house. Good morning. Defense going to keep the offense on the field longer. More sacks, more picks, better coverage. Linebackers have been volume tacklers the past 10 years. Would love to ask a young coverage linebacker. Gosh, those guys are hard to find. But yeah, we'll see what happens up the middle there. Lonnie asks, weren't the Jets a winning team when they played? I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about the overall result in the end of the season. But maybe they were. That would have been week 4 if they'd have been 2-1. La-di-da kind of at that point. But you're right about Tampa Bay. That's one. But good call, Lonnie. Appreciate you coming in, saying hello. Great to see everybody. Ralph is in here. Ralph says he loves Carl. I love Carl too. Very good together.
Thanks.
Yeah. We survived a tent together with backpacking food. So everybody, that's I didn't kill him with that one. Almost did. Honestly, the drive across Death Valley, that was almost what killed us. We got Troy coming in, listening from China with a typhoon passing through. Oh my goodness, Troy, hold on. Or get to high ground. I don't know what you're doing in a typhoon. Swampy, wet, windy, muggy weather here. Go Broncos. Well, stay safe, Troy.
Yeah.
You obviously have internet, so you're hanging on.
Okay. Well, if you have to take off, we're not going to fault you for that by any means. Always stay safe.
You have to stick through the storm now with us. You're committed.
Yeah. Just listen as you're running, whatever you got to do, or getting to high ground, climbing those hills. But no, do stay safe out there, Troy. Hope everybody ends up well there with China. And but we do appreciate you tuning in, even with all that going on.
So I have a defense now. I did want to talk about the defensive side of the ball. And I had kind of you can tell me if this doesn't qualify. The chat can tell me as well. But for me, make or break this season, it's somebody who I still have questions about. And they are a very good player. A lot of their Q rating is going through the roof. Nick Benito, for me, is a make or break player for me. As some of the stats with him last season, I think he had something like 6.5 of his sacks were considered garbage time. Some of his production, the game is already out of reach for the opposing team. And we're talking about him. Is he this actual, top 10 edge rusher in the NFL, complete game? Or is he, a little bit more, who is the really good player for the Seahawks all those years? Bruce Irvin, kind of more of a pressure player, late down, but limited in some areas and supplemental, like playing off of other players around him that are great. So a big one for me, who's make or break for the defense this season, is Nick Benito, again becoming this absolutely monster, no doubt number 1 ace pass rusher, and I think that's make or break for the defense and the team as a whole.
I think the one thing that really stuck out to me, other than, yes, he did have a lot of garbage time sacks, but he also did really well against double teams and passing situations as well. I think he was one of the better ones at winning on double teams to finish with the sack. So that was another stat that kind of countered that for me to make me go, okay, he's not just getting free rushes like he was a couple years ago. Like about half his sacks were where he was untouched, just straight to the quarterback, win with speed. Something got messed up front, and he was the person that had the advantage. And kudos to him for taking advantage of it. Sometimes guys almost kind of freak out, like, isn't somebody supposed to be blocking me? And they almost freeze, and then the play is already by them. He at least recognized, hey, I've got a free lane. Boom, go get the quarterback. But this last year, like I said, I think he took that next step of being able to put moves together, use counter moves to really fight what they were trying to do against him of winning to the edge. But I do think he has some staying power as a pass rusher. I think he can be a double-digit sack guy for the next few years, and until you start seeing a little bit of drop-off from his game. But like I said, it's that other part of his game as well. Can he be that full-time guy? Can he hold up on the edge for the run game? Like I said, there was a couple games where the edge group was the problem. Yeah. Linebackers didn't stand a chance because the edge guys were already getting sucked inside, and they had a wall just coming around the edge for the run game, and it's lights out at that point. You're hoping maybe one of your safeties can make an angle and go make a play to stop a touchdown from happening. So I do think he's got to be better at that. Like you said, he had some incredible plays that are not repeatable per se. The interception for a touchdown, that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah,
he's not going to get those every year. I think Von Miller had one in his career, if I remember right, maybe two.
I think two. Yeah.
So, and he's one of the best pass rushers I've ever seen. So that doesn't happen every day. I think then he had the fumble return for a touchdown as well. Just some fluky plays. But again, he was in the right place, right time, took advantage of it. I think that's one of his best things. Is he's got really good awareness of what's going on around him. He doesn't just win around the edge. He actually knows where the quarterback's at. And that's why he's able to finish a lot of his pass rushes with the sack. Compared to a lot of guys, there's a lot of good pressure guys. Some of them are just not great finishers. He's actually a pretty good finisher. And so, yeah, I agree. I think he would be a really good one to put onto that list. I'm willing to put Brandon Jones on that list too. He had an incredible season last year. That's the only season he's been able to do that. He's been a part-time player all of his career. And then, like I said, last year did great. Can he live up to that again? Can he play at that kind of level? If he can, again, this defense could be lights out. People are talking about it going, man, this unit's going to maybe carry him to the Super Bowl. It's just hard for me. I need to see repeatable. I need 2 or 3 years of data to say, okay, yep, this is who they are. Not, okay, they just had a great season, one-hit wonder, then we're out of here. I always think of Peyton Hillis. He had that one great year for Cleveland. And he made the Madden cover. It's got to be like their biggest goof up of putting a player on the cover ever.
I mean, wasn't that a voted one?
It was.
Okay, well, I mean,
maybe that's why they changed it back, going, we can't do this again. We can't let a guy like
man,
this.
I don't know. We do have Ralph. Did say Wattenberg made number 1 on the PFF list. Best player with this number. Well, there must not be a lot of good players that number. Wattenberg's fine. Somebody's going to pay him, just like somebody paid Boyd Cushenberry. I don't know if I'd want to be that team, but he's a fine player for the Broncos, and happy to have him on here on that cost control contract. And good job by the Broncos drafting and developing those 5th-round interior offensive line picks or later. They can become starters down the line. That's good use. That's just good team building. Some questions in here. Drew Sanders, make or break. I don't think it's make or break for Drew Sanders for this team. I think this season is make or break for Drew Sanders. I'm not even sure. This training camp might be make or break for Drew Sanders. I mean, you got Lavelle Bailey. You brought in 2 other undrafted free agents. The fact that he's bounced around and had injuries and stuff. I mean, he's a useful pressure player, and there's special teams ability too. But now you got Q Robinson in there as well, who can take some of that special teams onus and, being deployed as a pressure player. So I think it's more a make or break season for Drew Sanders than Drew Sanders being make or break for the Broncos.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Unfortunately, all the talent in the world. I mean, he had tons of potential coming out. He had some incredible plays there in college, obviously to be taken in the 3rd round. And some people talking about he would even be borderline 1st-round pick that year because of just his ability to get after the quarterback and be able to play outside, play off ball, all those kind of things. And unfortunately, those injuries have just really zapped any type of growth that he could have. And the little that we have seen him on the field, it's not been pretty. It's been downright some of the worst on the team if he's actually on the field. So for him this year, like you said, his roster spot is on the line. And if he doesn't make the Broncos roster, I mean, maybe he makes a practice squad for somebody that believes, hey, maybe we can maximize what he could be. But that'd be about the best that he could hope for at that point. So he does. He's got a lot on the line. I'm not sure that the Broncos have as much to worry about because they've got a little bit of depth now there at linebacker. Like I said, they brought in quite a few pieces, and I'm sure they can find somebody. So I don't think that the pressure's on the Broncos. It's the pressure's on Drew Sanders here.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, I hear Greenlaw being that one. They've tossed him out there just because I don't fully know and trust the depth they have that position. We'll see what Singleton looks like coming back from injury too, although it sounds like he's doing quite well with all of that. But I just, I think for me, Nick Bonito's the dark horse make or break guy on this team because can he replicate what he did last season where he was an all-pro? It's a big season contract year and everything like that. So really an interesting one. I also wanted to give a shout out. Mike Thompson brings up Talanoa Hufanga. He's the guy I'm most excited about, the new addition I'm most excited about to watch on this team this season. But yeah, hoping he can be a healthy player and a havoc creator. We got Shiloh in here as well late, but I'm here. Good evening. Had to party with MBLE test prep. That's great. Make sure you save a couple cold ones for me as well. And I think we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. Sorry, Shiloh. Hi, bye. Because I got stuff to do. And mother-in-law's in town, and we're trying to get down to see my wife in the hospital before it's time for him to get to sleep. So any final thoughts here, Carl, as we wrap it up? It is obviously June, so it's a little bit slower right now, but shout out to PFF. They did throw out Greenlaw as the make or break player. I disagree, but that's my nature.
Yeah, I'm honestly not too worried about him.
Yeah,
I think he's smart enough, even if he doesn't have quite the athleticism that he had before injury. I think he's such a smart player on the field. He'll be able to make up for a little bit of that, and I do think he'll be recovered. Achilles, it takes a little bit over a year, and it's been more than a year now. So I think he should be fully back healthy. Bring a lot of intelligence to the field, and now that linebacker core goes from, like you said, weakness to could be a really big strength for them moving forward. So I'm definitely excited about it. And I just had a couple people. I had a Broncos mug at camp, and it brought a lot of either "Hey, that's awesome" or "You suck." Got a lot of those, and so a lot of Bronco people. Hey, how do you think they're going to do this year? There's a lot of excitement building for this season. And so I'm right there with them. I'm trying to be cautious because I just don't want to be let down one more time. But at the same time, it really does. It feels like Broncos are on that right track. Got a lot of really good players in the right places.
Yeah. So my final one here, we got Michael coming in again. Great show tonight, Nick and Carl. Good to see you. Yeah, thanks everybody for the well wishes for her. I just got to go. My final one is to RJ Harvey. I think he's the make or break player. 2nd round pick. You said Dobbins is insurance. I feel like Dobbins is a little bit more like if your insurance is a lottery ticket because he's missed so much time and had so many injuries. I mean, he's okay. I don't think your running ability that you're going to get from him is going to be all that different than we got from Javonte Williams last season. I think that it's marginal in that front with more injury concern. So maybe a little bit higher ceiling, but much more volatile. Shout out to Henry Chisholm. He talked about his numbers. After the first 2 weeks, J.K. Dobbins was worse in almost every single metric as a rusher compared to the Broncos running backs last season. He had really good weeks 1 and 2, fell off, dealt with another injury as well, missed 4 weeks. So I wouldn't bank on him. I mean, it does raise the floor, but again, it's a little bit of a lottery ticket. So for me, it's RJ Harvey. He needs to come in. He needs to deliver as much as Sean Payton's been excited about him, talking about him, run, pass. I think you can live with some of the questions about pass protection, but they need running game this season from the running back. The infrastructure is there. So it's RJ Harvey's my make or break guy.
I like it. I can't completely disagree with you at all. And there's a big reason you go get a guy like that when it was one of your biggest weaknesses on offense last year. And not a weakness, though, is Michael coming in again saying, great show tonight, Nick and Carl, on building the Broncos. Go, Bo Broncos. Thank you, Michael, for always helping at the beginning and end of shows and middle. I mean, you're just always there. Appreciate it. And all of you for tuning in this week. Again, I know it's June. Everybody's got different things to be doing. I've been getting outside, and it's been great. I love it. Might even go hit up the golf course since my kids might be in bed here in the next half hour. Get a little bit of about 5 holes in before it gets too dark. So appreciate it. And some of you out there in the storms, stay safe. I know we're kind of in like tornado possibility tonight. So like I said, everybody stay safe. Nick, hope everything starts turning around there. And of course, give Natalie our best. Yeah. Of course, I mean, if you want to cheer her up, just have her watch this show.
Oh my gosh, she hears me.
Lighten her
She
day, right?
hears me rambling enough anyway. This is a good outlet for her. Save the marriage. The fact that we can talk football and she doesn't have to hear me ramble at her. Ralph, biggest make or break rookie's the punter. This will be a starter and could be a game changer. Yeah, I guess he is kind of that's a real good dark horse there because punters can lose you games and win you games. So I say that as an Iowa fan. I've seen it firsthand many times. So shout out to everybody. Thanks in the chat for the well wishes with everything. And Carl, you need to keep out there, keep getting outside, and hit the Stairmaster and can avenge the backpacking trip last season. You did fine. You did fine. But I've given you a hard time. But appreciate everyone. Have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. But until then, choose kindness, compassion. I need to make sure I do the reads as well. Of course, next already autopilot, Mile High Huddle. Follow us there. Follow Carl and I at Carl Dumler MHH, and I'm at Nick Kendell MHH over at Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us there. And as that ticker says underneath, please subscribe, like, and share. Shout out to 7 super chat givers: Michael Ronquillo, Patrick, the coffee man. Thank you so much. Ralph a few times. Gene, also good to see you. Papa Bear's great as well. Appreciate everyone. Have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Oh, Jasmine. Jasmine just gave birth to a little boy as well pretty recently. So, Jasmine, hope you're doing well. We're just getting out of here, but hi to you, and hope everyone's healthy and you have all the support that you could possibly want and need. So, shout out to you. We appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys. Have a good one. Go Broncos.